What's up, guys? So I'm gonna be talking about Pan today. It's gonna be a Pan discussion video. So let's get started real quick. So Pan, she's a leader that when she's unawakened, whenever you play a 15k or higher battle card, they get a +5, and when they have 20k or more, you get to draw a card. So knowing that, in theory, you're able to replenish all your energies that you charge per turn, and from there you're able to draw a card to replace the energy that you draw. So I took that into consideration when creating a deck. You always want to have cards that when you play a card, you replace it. So a lot of the one drops such as Majin Buu or Broly or Trunks Bridge to the Future, when you play it, it replaces itself. However, Pan only works if the battle card is at 20k. So knowing this, I had to play cards that when it comes into play, it replaces itself, and then you draw a card because, um, so let's look at Ability Unleash Gohan and Bodyguard Legend. Those are two cards right there that when you play it, it replaces itself because it's 15k or higher. So when you play it, you draw a card. With Pan though, the main thing I found as a weakness for Pan is that I find that I didn't have the mana to defend myself. So uh, I had to find a way to break down the weakness of Pan. Now Pan is she allows me to draw a lot of cards, but if you're always tapped out every turn to play a battle card that's 15k or higher to draw, then that is kind of useless in a way. It's not useless in a way that you can access the cards in your deck to see them, but it's useless in a way that the cards that you draw, you're unable to use it as a form of defense. So knowing that, it was harder for me to figure out a way um, to make sure that I can play a card safely on my turn and have enough cards to defend myself. So I always compared Pan to SSJ3 as the leader because SSJ3 can take out two cards from the life and put it into the energy, and essentially not only that, it's easier to self awaken with SSJ3. So I always thought, okay, well, SJ3 is just completely better than Pan. So I had to figure out a way um, to ensure that Pan has enough mana so I can use for defense and have enough mana for offense. And I really wanted to abuse the fact that Pan can draw on my opponent's turn whenever I play a battle card such as Double Shot Vegeta. So knowing this, I just couldn't figure out the right build to make Pan really good. I wanted to find ways to have mana open on my opponent's turn, and have manas open on my turn. But I couldn't figure it out. I had to play Objection, cards like Objection, Result of Training, to help me go farther than my opponent in every game. So in my first build of Pan, I was playing Mighty Mass, Objection, Result of Training, cards that allow me to essentially outpace my opponent. But when it came down to it, outpacing my opponent really didn't help uh, when I was playing a well balanced game. Like I said before, with SJ3 as a leader, you have a really good offense and you have really good defense. Now, Pan has really good offense, but she frails in defense because she doesn't have enough mana. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't like having extra cards in my deck because when you draw into them, drawing into your extra cards, you basically, what happens is when you're trying to out combo somebody or defend against someone who's out comboing you, you have a bunch of 10Ks in your hand or 10k defense in your hand that you have to tap mana for. And so I found myself playing extra cards like Sensu Bean and Least Coercions just to survive. And I didn't like that strategy that much. I could have just played a different leader that could be better than Pan. So I walked away from that deck, and I started playing Ginyu because Ginyu has the ability to control my opponent by using Shigesh into explosive into blockers, Shigesh into um, Preface of Recovery Son Goku, untap 2 of my energy, and then from there I would just tap out an energy and then use Unbreakable Son Goku to use a super combo and draw. So Ginyu had a lot of defensive capabilities, and I didn't need much mana to do so. Um, so the other day I started thinking about cards that started replacing themselves. In my earlier video, I mentioned, is it better to have cards that replace themselves and add to your overall field and hand? And the card that came up in the card pool when I was looking through my commons was Striker Bardock. Now, Striker Bardock, uh, it's a card that's like slipped under the radar for a lot of people because he's a 20k 5 drop, uh, a 5 dropper, and he looks at the top three, or up to three, and then you add one card. So he has kind of like a Trunks. What's the name of that Trunks? It's fuck. What's the name of that Trunks? Well, the Overrealm Trunks that where you warp 3 and then you look at the top 2 and then you add it to your hand. I think it's Time Patrol, Time Patrol Trunks. So he has like a pseudo Time Patrol Trunks ability, but he replaces himself when he comes on board. So I tried to incorporate that into it with the leader, and when I looked at it, I was like, wait, Pan can use this leader really well, because Pan can give it a +5, and Bardock becomes 25k dual striker or dual attacker, so he can attack twice, and he replaces himself. So I was like, all right, I'll just make a fun deck with Pan with Striker Bardock. So in my head, as I was thinking this, I was thinking, well, what can I play with Striker Bardock? Well, obviously I have to play yellow cards, right? What are some good yellow cards in set 3 that were prominent? So this is a blast from the past. I thought of, oh, let's play Planet Vegeta, because then I can have Saiyan support, right? So Planet Vegeta was the next card I wanted to add into this fun deck that I just made. And then I was like, all right, well, since I have access to Saiyans that are 4 or less, what Saiyan is good in Pan? So then it was like a duh moment. I was like, oh wait, I can play double shot Vegeta, which comes into play when he's comboed. It's like, oh, he's a Saiyan. I was like, wait, but okay, well, what else can I play? I was like, oh, I can play Unbreakable. So these are all 4 drops or lower Saiyans that you can add to your hand, and then play in your deck because this is 4 drop Saiyan. So I was like, all right, I'll just play like a yellow red Pan deck. I was like, all right. And then and then the other thing I didn't talk about with Bardock, Striker Bardock, is that the remaining cards that of the 3 go to the discard or the drop area, so that fills up the overrealm. So I was like, all right, well, maybe I can play black cards that I could overrealm. And what's a good 4 drop or lower Saiyan card that I can overrealm? And at first I was thinking, okay, let's play Increasing Evil Mass Saiyan so that I can awaken faster. And I was like, no, there's a better card. There's Trunks Overseeing Time, which both of those guys replace themselves when they come in, because every card replaces itself with Pan. So Pan actually became such a great social, or a great exploration into the question whether it's better to take away cards from your opponent and then add to your, then add cards to your general field and hand. So Pan, I can play anything basically that's 15k or higher, and then it'll replace itself and it becomes stronger. So I had to think that in my head. I was like, all right, well, what's a good card I can use that gives me cards in my hand and field, but also lets me combo all the cards that I just mentioned: Unbreakable, Double Shot, and what else is the other one? Oh, and basically any card for defense. So I totally forgot about one card in all of my analysis, which was King Vegeta. So King Vegeta is the ape that gives barrier to all my yellow Saiyans, which Striker Bardock is a yellow Saiyan. And not only does he give barrier to barriers to other yellow Saiyans, he gives barrier to himself, but he can combo all my cards literally for free. Right? So let's think about that for a second. I can now play on curve and not worry about tapping my mana for comboing my 10Ks that require 1 mana to combo. And if you combine that together, I can combo Unbreakable Sun Goku and Double Shot Vegeta in my deck for free, which means I don't even need the mana to play defense. I just combo it for free. So that now I've figured out a way to make Pan a very decent leader. I just had to play King Vegeta and Saiyans that can combo basically for free. So then as I looked over my deck list, I thought, wow, I have basically 12 super combos, right? So we got our 4 handy Jiru, which is the super combo for red. You can, or Divine Vados if you like Vados better. They do virtually the same thing. There's literally no limitation, or there's no restriction to each of the two. It's like one copy of the homework from the other. That's a meme. And then the other 4 is Unbreakable Sun Goku, which I can combo for free if I control King Vegeta, right? So that's kind of like a super combo, basically, when he's on the field, and he's almost like he can't kill. No one can kill King Vegeta because he's barrier on top of that. So you have to like find creative ways to kill him, which is I don't think people are ready for. And then the other 4, the last final 4, is Double Shot Vegeta, right? So he's not really a super combo. He's kind of like a latent ultra combo, right? Ultra combo in the sense that when he does come in, he replaces himself. So you're getting 2 cards, right, when he comes into play, as opposed to a super combo. You just use it, and it just replaces itself. You don't really get a net gain. But the reason why I call it an ultra combo is because you can only use it once per turn. You can't use Double Shot Vegeta twice a turn. So it's kind of like I'm playing 8 super combos and then 4 latent ultra combo. Because it has like a once per turn kind of thing. I like coining terms. It helps me think better and helps me like operate in the manner that I could be more efficient with my thinking, which is why I invent terms for myself. You guys are free to use whatever terms you guys like for categorizing things, but this is what I use for operating for my thinking. So I don't have to like think too long on one topic. I can just flip on over. That's why I create terms, but that's besides the point. So I basically threw a deck together last night or yesterday for my locals, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to basically make a deck where I could, abuse the attrition of SSJ3, right? Because I can play good offense and good defense, and I can plus while doing that. So SSJ3 has a weakness of being unable to generate a lot of advantage, but he has attrition power. So if you can combine attrition with advantage, which Pan does really well, by the way, anything I bring in onto the board when she's awakened, assuming she's awakened, I generate a card to my hand, and she gives them a +5, and whenever she attacks, she draws a card. They really overlook that ability of Pan on the design, because Pan really is a better leader now that I can figure out how to break Pan. They really overlooked the fact that when she's drawing 2 a turn, she's outpacing every single leader. So I really like that about Pan. So the deck I'm gonna post later tonight or today is really going to outline how I am breaking the Pan deck. So this was supposed to be a Pan discussion video. So from the standpoint of my deck that I've made, from thinking it was just going to be a fun deck, ended up becoming extremely viable in a sense, because I'm combining 2 very important concepts to help me win my games, which is to outpace my opponent, and as well as having more battle cards or having more field presence. So you'll see that in all my games from my locals video, that I never really had to awaken to win the game. I had 8 life, 7, 6, but other games I had 4, and I was able to win my games. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about for the Pan discussion. I'll be doing a deck profile of my Pan deck, and I'll be posting it online. So hopefully you guys like it. I have this thing where if I do post a deck list, I'm walking into the territory of giving to the community but also in the back of my mind, I know that I won't get the credit for the decks that I post. So I have to contend with the fact that when I do submit a deck profile that is potentially broken, I have to be uh, I have to be okay with the fact that I won't get credit for it. And I looked at the back of my head, I was like, you know what? I'm fine with it. I'm fine if people take the ideas that I have and popularize it for me. Because if people never took ideas from me, let's look at it from a weird perspective. If people never took ideas from me and popularized it and didn't give me credit, I would it would never be popularized to begin with, right? So in order for your ideas to be popular and get credit for it, you have to belong to some sort of large organization where people know your brand very well, and not only that, you have to be a promoter. So I don't have any of those. I'm just an amateur, right? The amateurs are the people who do things because they love doing it, not because they want to get paid for it. So I had to reflect back on myself and say, okay, well, if I truly love this game, which I do, I wouldn't care if my contributions uh, to the Dragon Ball community goes unnoticed or uncredited. Basically, it's noticed, but it's uncredited. So I'll give it that. I'll give it word too. I probably was not the first to think of this idea too. You know, someone else at the exact same time or before me has already figured out a way to break pan before me and has not broadcasted it. So to say that I uh, claim credit for posting this deck list with the same concepts of breaking pan would be uh, disingenuous of the people who might have came up with the concept first before I did, and did not post it and just merely played it in locals or just at a lower level where they're just with their friends. So, knowing that, my ideas are probably just as valuable as any other person's ideas. So, uh, I don't think I should claim credit for this idea. So, I know this is a tangent to the pan discussion, but it's an interesting way of looking at things when you're contributing ideas to the general community. Most of the time, people who post deck lists and are popular are credited with the idea of making that deck, but you have to look at it from three perspectives, right? And the first perspective is, well, yeah, they were the ones that created the deck, but were they the ones that popularized it? So are they the popularizer, the creator, or are they merely someone who's transferring it, basically? Uh, popularizing and transferring is the same thing. I'm sorry, it's only two. So popularizing it, you basically took someone's idea, right? Someone who wasn't really a huge promoter, and then they popularized it, and then they get the credit, while the guy who didn't get the who made the deck originally did not get the credit. But right, that's just one type of person, and then the other person is the one who created it, but they didn't get any credit, but they're fine with it because they love the community so much. So it's kind of like a weird pseudo create intellectual property uh, uh, mismanagement. So, anyways, I shouldn't even get credit for it as well because I didn't design the card myself. So, last night, someone played a Foo Shrouded in Mystery to win the game, and in my excitement, I said, "Oh, that's my card! That's my card! I made that card!" And then one of the persons in the local said, "Oh, you made that card?" sarcastically. It's like, "Oh, can I get your autograph? Cause you made that card." And I was like, "Oh shit! I should have said that because I didn't make the card. All I did was I popularized it in my deck." So it's kind of hard to like, cause my ego. It's hard because my ego and my willingness to contribute is constantly in a battle towards each other. It's like, well, I made this deck popular, but my love for the game is like, well, you know, if you want to make if you want to make your ideas popular, you have to take the good with the bad, which is people are going to steal your ideas and then make it and never give you credit for it. You have to be okay with that. So it's kind of like So I constantly struggle with that those two little facets of my personality, and it's kind of like, oh, I have to take the good with the bad. I'm still motivated to make good decks. I'm still motivated to, contribute good ideas. But I have to, whenever I see someone play like the cards that I play in my deck, I just go, oh, he's complimenting me, or she's complimenting me. She's playing he is playing the cards that I talked about in my videos, and then then they're winning with it. I just feel like a sense of like if I had a son, right, or like a best friend, and he did really well or she did really well in Dragon Ball tournaments, and I was like, oh, it's my son. Oh, that's my teammate. It's my boy. It's I don't know why it's people are like that, but people are. They like seeing a product of their own connections be put into practice, and then seeing it succeed. It's kind of like a tribal feeling that's evolved probably into our lives. But I keep diverging. I'm sorry. This is what I do. So yeah, that's gonna be all for the pan discussion. I hope you guys like the intro to my pan deck. I'm going to show you the list in my next segment of this video. Peace out. What's up, guys? This is my deck profile. You guys can just take a snapshot of the deck list from here on out. But from here on out, if you want to just look at my analysis on why I play certain cards, then here it goes. It starts now. All right, so let's start off with the green stuff. So I nicknamed this deck Ketchup, Mustard, and Soy Sauce, with a little bit of soy sauce, because it runs red for ketchup, uh, yellow for mustard, and black for soy sauce. So originally I wanted to call it Condiments Pan, but it wasn't as catchy, so I just call it the three sauces that I put in. You can call that barbecue sauce if you want to call that black sauce or some sort. It's all up to you. It doesn't matter. What matters is the deck profile. So, anyways, so earlier I mentioned that there was 12 super combos in this pan deck. This Unbreakable. There's a well, he's not a super combo, but he's like a latent ultra combo. And then there's the actual super combo. Yeah. So those are the 12 super combos. I try to make this deck where if I play a card, I draw a card, and so if I put that into concept, I can play like something like Gohan, who's also a Saiyan. So when he comes into play, I get the +5 from him, and then when I attack with him, I draw a card. So that gives me a +2 because Gohan's still alive. So and he's attacking. So he's really good in this deck. Bodyguard Legend is just a +1, but he's a free body that I can put on the board early game when my opponent's playing something that it's like a value deck, and that value deck relies on playing like one drops like Boo, Bridge to the Future, or any like one drop card like Youthful Boma when they play on first turn, and they don't mind like losing a card because they've generated advantage from it already. Bodyguard Logic allows us to push in with Pan on the first turns. So I'll draw this, I'll play it, and I'll draw a card. So it's kind of like a nifty. He's also a blocker, so it's kind of like a nifty free blocker. So I also play this in control deck. I recommend this in mostly all the control decks that are out there, because control decks typically have like a hard time against aggressive decks. So he's like a free blocker that you can play early game, so that you don't have to die to the aggressive leader. So he's just there. Aggressive leaders don't tend to play cards that remove cards from the board, but it makes you voluntarily or forcefully give up cards so that you don't die. That's the concept of aggro against control leaders. But I'm not playing it in a control deck. I'm just playing it because he's a 15k and he gets a +5, so he's really good. So and then this combos help me awaken faster. So 12 super combos, value cards, and cards that help me awaken faster. Okay, so that's for the ketchup. And then, as I spoke about it before, I'm playing King Ape Vegeta. He's really good because when I combo, it allows me to turn on my defensive capabilities and my offensive capabilities. So he's the attrition card that allows me to combo all my cards for free. So if the whole point of the pan is I can play him, and he comes out as a 30k too. So if you play him, evolve on top of him for 3 mana, or you just hard cast him for 5, they all get the +5. And say that you are able to, for some reason, play him and evolve him on the same turn. The ruling is the power transfers upwards. So if he'll get the 20k, right, or he'll go up to 20k, but the 5k gets up transferred up to him if you evolve. but that never happens. But that's just for a ruling dispute. So same concept as Gohan. When I summon him, I get to add a card that's +1, and then Pan gives him a +1, so that's +2. So I'm playing a lot of +2 cards in my deck, including Striker Bardock. So +2 as well, because when you summon him, he looks for the top 2 cards and add it to 3 cards and add to your hand, and then Pan gives him a +5 and he gets to draw. So there's a lot of kind of like a nifty combo. The reason why I played the Vegeta package, this Vegeta package, the Prince Vegeta, because I needed more targets for him. So oftentimes I'll run out of steam by searching all this. Then I need something else to counter combo. He's not bad too because he's also a yellow sand that I can combo for a 10k shield. And if I have too much extra cards in my hand, I can look at the top 3 and hopefully I'll fetch out another Prince Ape and him, and then discard the cards I don't need. But most of the time, this is kind of necessary, so I never really discard it. He's really droppable, but he's like a game winner. So a lot of people don't know what he does, but when you X evolve him on top of a Bardock that's 5 or more, and you discard 2 cards. So he's essentially a -3, but since you're plussing so much, it doesn't matter. And what he does is he taps down all your opponent's energy and battle cards, so all of them go to rest mode. So it's like a game-ending card, and plus he gets the +5 boost too. So he's a 30k, and by himself, he's a triple striker, and he gets +5 if your opponent has 6 energies. So you can swing for lethal with this guy for 35k in some situations because he gets a +5 and then Pan gives him +5. So it's a really cool card. You don't have to play him, but he's good. It's a very droppable card. You don't have to play him, but if you want, you can play another version. You can play another Striker Bardock or more extra cards, depending on what you want. So that's that. Then we have our extra cards. We have Planet Vegeta, which searches for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different cards. So uh, obviously a staple in any Saiyan deck, especially in this deck, which allows you to search for your super combos. So um, I think searching for your super combos is kind of good. I don't know about you guys. So we got Planet Vegeta, and this card is a field spell, so it readies all my apes. So you can attack with him, and then at the end of the turn, they'll go restand back, ready for blocking. Well, he'll be ready for blocking. So Blast from the Past, we got Nimbus Cloud. So the idea is you want to end your opponent's turn because you generate the most advantage on your turn, right? Because Pan allows you to draw for the Awakened side, allows you to draw when you play a dude that's 15k or more, draw a card, and then when she attacks, you get another one. So the advantage is generated as the aggressor, not as the defender. But this plays really good defense well because I have King Vegeta to allow me to combo all my hands on both players' turns. So I can aggress really hard and I can defend really hard. That's attrition for you. But attrition is stifled because I have lack of resources in other deck. But um, she as a leader allows me to gain so much more advantage because I keep drawing. So I'm drawing and I'm playing attrition very well. I think I found a way to break Pan, but we'll see. That's still up to debate, right? And then so that's all for Nimbus Class. So I ideally end the opponent's turn because they can't do it. They can't attack anymore. I start my turn, keep pushing, make a board. They can't clear because I Nimbus Cloud again, and then I keep pushing and then until they run out of resources and then I kill. Crusher Ball is just a tech. I wanted to play against Overwhelm. It's basically an Overwhelm killer. Anything that Overwhelm, I just play Crusher Ball, and they can't attack with it. And then it kills it. It's basically it kills an Overwhelm because it only stays on the board for 1 turn. Their time limit makes it so that they don't like this card is actually really good against them. Ruling is if you play Fu, right, and your opponent Crusher Balls on the reveal, right, he comes into play rested, and that basically saves you from dying against Fu's attack. I can't save for the rest of the attacks, but it still stuns them. And since I would love to play Cobalescence in this deck, but Pan is in a Frieza's army, but that's fine. I'm fine with the fact that I can still play one. And then we have our 2 Saiyans that are searchable. Originally it was 2 increasing evil, so I can self-awaken faster. But I found that I didn't need to self-awaken that much, so he's actually, I play 1-on-1 just for versatility, and plus they're searchable with this, so there's no need. He lets me search for my super combos, or not search for it, but like revive it so that I can keep using it to hit harder. Or whatever key card I need, he'll get it. So he's like a clutch card. And of course, you can't have a deck in my arsenal without playing Fushar and Mystery. I think I ended one game with him just because he's Fu. So I've already talked about how great Fu is. So yeah, that's my deck profile. It's my own creation. In the future, I'll probably tweak it out. Maybe I won't need as much Kabas. Maybe I won't need this guy, but who knows? It's up to you guys if you guys want to tweak it up a bit. But this is my build for Pan. Hope you guys enjoyed it.